Had them online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. Had them online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. I know the wall's closing in, but don't you dare give up now. Poe believed in me, pull up through some bucks down. Todd told the valet pull the truck round. Push the line after we drew it, it's just us now. Would you believe me if I told you my granny told me she prayed this? Then booked the surgery just to pull me out of the basement. Right back where I started, nothing to show for a facelift. Got pushed playing Walter White and Davis, never felt so dangerous. The type of power they can't quantify. And name the best from my region, you gotta utter mine. Think of who really putting on, you never come to mind. Rapping like your Spotify, tap you rappers compromise. Yeah, no need to panic, just paint the canvas. If you can feel the static, you're too close, find your balance. Embed the revolution for they prohibition bandwidth. Blood trickle from the leaders he was planning. I had them all online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top when I'm a mile up. I had them all online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top when I'm a mile up. Boarded that flight to Amsterdam. When my accountant and minus my family found out too and didn't like it. You're not in this alone. What Dale said and I thought he was biased. Then I got a Venmo that said copy the finest. Before my foolishness settled in. Recorded a whole tape before we got to Berlin. This close to giving up and now never again. Don't overlook the work and come expecting to win. In the end, my word, never put nothing over the squad. Got it right up under their nose and fight a facade. Off the cliff with broken wings, I'm aware of the odds. Enough faith for us all, I'm the one for the job. Most days, catching sun rays, baby, look like the front page. Overthinking what they might say, have it your way. Yeah, the biggest threat is something they never seen. Dial it up, patch me into the screen. I had them all online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. I had them all online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up.
Greetings, everybody. This is Jackie Luqman, and you are witnessing, watching, enjoying, participating in another episode of Luqman Nation Live, the most dangerous show on social media, on the most dangerous platform on social media. That's Black Power Media. Again, I'm Jackie Luqman. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this Friday night. This is where we usually hang out, although I'll throw a show or two in between here and there when the spirit strikes me. And since our show yesterday with Dr. Linwood Tawheed was so serious, I really didn't want to do anything serious tonight. I didn't want to get into any deep, crazy discussions. There's been a lot of great content today on Black Power Media. Obviously, I did the show of my regular job by any means necessary today. Very, very good show today. We had a Ajamo Baraka on, the national organizer for the Black Alliance for Peace. And look, Kim Brown was on earlier. I think LDI is on their channel. And then after this show, stick around here on Black Power Media for Riot Starter TV, because you will not be disappointed. This is, we had yesterday, History as a Weapon for African Liberation. Dr. Sundiata Chajua had Dr. Jared Ball on. I mean, tomorrow morning, I think Saturday morning is the children's show, the Uncle Devin show. We got a little bit of everything for everybody on Black Power Media and all of us who are involved in other kinds of stuff. And I know, Deborah, I need sleep too. So usually what I do is I spend like my Saturday morning when I make my coffee and I'm having my breakfast. I watch the shows that I missed. And usually I pick up some more on Saturday afternoon while I'm cooking dinner and that kind of thing. So it's just a lot. It's so much stuff. But thanks a lot for hanging out with me tonight, for being here with Black Power Media. Please share this video. We're just going to have some fun tonight. A little bit of the discussion is going to be a little serious, but not all of it. Um, if you are not a member of Black Power Media, please join Black Power Media. You can be a member, subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber, and you can support Black Power Media on Patreon, patreon.com/Black Power Media. You can also support the Luqman Nation. Did I just say the Luqman Nation? So sorry. Luqman Nation on Black Power Media, as well as on Patreon, patreon.com/Black Power Media. When you talk for a living, you get tongue tied late in the evening because you don't want to talk anymore. So, look, first, before I get into my little slideshow that I hope works out okay, because I've been messing around with iMovie and I'm very very much an amateur at it, but we'll see what happens. I want to say hey to everybody in the chat. What's going on, David Silberg, Goddess Crew? Good to see you, Deborah Rodriguez. Let's see, going down. Big Teal, what's happening? Miriam Francis, Ready Revolutionary One. Who else? Who else we got in the house? Obiama, Ohio. Thank you so much. Hey, peace, everybody. Very glad to see you all. So let's get into it. All right. I went to Colombia. Um, last month, not Columbia, South Carolina, not Columbia, Maryland, Colombia, the country. And I had never been to Colombia before. And it was a trip that Abdus and I were planning to take at the end of next year when he would have been able to get his passport. So he and I were going to take the trip at the end of next year, maybe at the beginning of 2023. But he passed away suddenly in June of this year, June 15th. So um, Ajamo Baraka, who is not just the national organizer for the organization that I am proud to belong to, the Black Alliance for Peace, and he is also a comrade and a very good friend. He and his partner Charo Mina Rojas, who I had never actually met, I'd never actually physically met her, although I interviewed her actually a couple of times on By Any Means Necessary. But they were very insistent that I come to spend some time with them. And they wanted me to come, of course, because they were concerned about me. And they wanted to just give me the space to just get away from everything. But specifically, Chara wanted me to experience something that she thought would be very important to me. And that was a spiritual reading. Now, I didn't know what she was talking about before I went. Um, but I am in my spiritual beliefs, I'm pretty much open to pretty much anything. I am not a strict anything, this, that, or the third. I mean, I am a follower of Jesus Christ. I consider myself a Christian, but I understand there's some seriously suspect stuff in that Bible, and but so I was open to doing this, and I was very appreciative that they wanted to do this for me. So I equivocated back and forth for like weeks. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can go. This was going to be me and Abdus's thing. I'm not sure that I can do it. And, then it was, oh, maybe it's too soon and I can't get the time off work. And, I don't know if I can afford it and all this kind of stuff. And then one night I was laying in bed and not sleeping as I had been kind of experiencing. Um, and, I just felt like, what is stopping me from going? Why am I making this more difficult than it is? There is nothing that is stopping me from taking this trip to Colombia. I don't have to worry about accommodations um, because Ajamu and Chado opened their home to me. And so I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about feeding myself because they're going to feed me. I actually do have the money. What am I why am I equivocating here? Just go. So I decided, yes, I'm going to go. Called Ajamu, said, all right, I'm going to do it. We decided on a date. And on October 14th, 2021, I hopped on a plane and went to Colombia. And I took a bunch of pictures and a bunch of videos. And this is some of the stuff that I want to share with you about my trip uh, that occurred over the first few days. So I'm going to try to see if this works. I am not sure if it is going to. Let me see if oh, here we go. I think so. I think this is working. Why it's not okay, let me stop because it's not doing what I want it to do. Hmm. Let's see now. And of course, when I want to do it, the technology doesn't work exactly the way I want it to. Oh, here we go. I think I got it now. I think I got it now. Think so. Yes, I do. All right, here we go. All righty. Part take two. Mrs. Luqman goes to Colombia, part one. My experience with African spirituality. And now I'm gonna try to kind of So sorry, I did not realize that the audio was not working for you guys. I apologize. Let me see if I can figure out what's going on with that. It's always something interesting. Always something interesting. I always try to figure this out, and it just doesn't want to work out the way I want it to. So let's see what we can do to fix this. Let's see. Maybe if I try this way. All right. So can you guys hear me now if I do it this way? Let me know if you can hear me now. If I stay on the screen. Okay, I think okay, good. So great. So now I have to go all the way back over to the beginning. How about that? There we go. This is Luqman Goes to Colombia, part one. Thank y'all so much for your patience. You know I'm a mess. Um, so yeah, I went to Colombia on October 14th, almost a 4 months to the day, just about. Um, um, 4 months, almost 4 months to the day of when Abdus passed away. He passed away on June 15th of this year. And and this is a screenshot of the when you're taking an international flight, apparently some of the flights have this little flight simulator on them where you can see where your plane, the plane that you are on, is actually going over the geography, and it just tickled me so much. I just had to take a picture of it. So at the time, I was just coming past Bogota, flying into Cali, Colombia. And so this was 4 months to the almost to the day that Abdus passed. So I'm taking this trip, and I took the trip because Abdus and I had planned to do this. We had planned to take this trip at the end of next year or the beginning of 2023 when he would have been able to get his passport, but he passed away in June. So this whole trip was really bittersweet for me. But Ajambu Baraka, who is not only, an amazing African, but he is a good comrade and a good friend. He and his partner, Charo Mina Rojas, were very concerned, for me, and they're very shaken by Abdus's death too. But they wanted to do something special for me. They wanted to make sure that I was okay. So and Chado in particular wanted to coordinate something for me that she thought would be very, very helpful for me. But I wasn't sure if I could take the trip because it was something that I wanted to do with Abdus. So I was really like equivocating for a minute. Should I go? Oh, I can't get the time off work, and I was just off, for a few weeks after he passed, and I don't know if I can afford it. I don't know if it's the right time. And one night I was laying it upstairs in bed, not sleeping because sleep had been really difficult, since Abdus passed, and I kind of thought, what is stopping me from going? Why am I making this more difficult than it is? I mean, just go. So I called Ajamu and said, all right, fine, I'm gonna come. We coordinated the date, and this is me on the plane, uh, on my way to Colombia with very mixed emotions. I I went into the bathroom of the plane and cried a couple of times. Um, and it was weird because I don't like flying. I really do not like flying, but I didn't have any anxiety about either flight. I had to take a connecting flight from Washington Reagan to Miami and then Miami to Cali, and I usually have anxiety during takeoff and landing, but usually more during takeoff. And I had no anxiety this time on either leg of the flight. So that I thought that was interesting. And I thought it was a good omen, and it actually was. Um, I, so now this is me waking up on October 15th, 4 months to the day that Abdus passed away. And I kind of went through these pictures again as I was putting this thing together, and I'm like, I'm looking at myself, and I'm seeing the change in me, as you know, in my face, in my eyes, and in the way I just am. And that's how I know that everything I experienced on this trip was absolutely right and absolutely perfect, and I needed this trip, and going was the right thing to do. So I'm waiting. It's October 15th, Friday. The weather is beautiful in Cali. It is like 80 degrees, very sunny outside. Here I am on the terrace on top of the house. Um, Beautiful weather, tropical birds hanging out on the patio, but I was still, of course, very sad. And I felt Abdus there, but I felt his absence very strongly too. Um, you know, so but I tried to make the best of it that first, couple of days. And a part of that was I was very amused by this cat across the street. This cat would come out onto would stick itself out onto the little through the grate, and people watch for hours across the street. And I just really was so amused by this cat that I had to take a picture of the cat, just kind of hanging out, watching the people down below going on about their people business. So I was trying very hard, to relax and get into the flow of things. And Ajamu helped a lot. Ajamu was, really wonderful. And that first couple of days, he was just showing me around. This is the supermarket in the neighborhood. Excuse me. And as you can see, your revolutionary, radical, a national organizer for the Black Alliance for Peace, is also revolutionary and radical when he goes grocery shopping. Yes, Ajamu does grocery shop. So we went to the supermarket, and it was great. And the supermarket, this is kind of a typical setup in Colombia, where there's like a big open air area, because it's a tropical location. But what you don't see is there is this large area of fresh fruit and vegetables that's also on the outside. It's absolutely amazing. Um, and you have to remember, well, if you don't know, that most people in countries like Colombia, a lot of places in the global south and in the Caribbean, they literally go to the store every day. People don't have large refrigerators full of food that they're storing stuff in. Going to the market or the grocery store is a daily thing for a lot of people. So I mean, this is very common. So I thought that would be an amusing little picture, showing a Jamu pushing a grocery cart with me, almost overwhelmed by everything. So this is me later on that the next day, and I'm again trying to enjoy myself and just really kind of struggling. All right, so here's where we left off. So this was the next day, and I was feeling a little better, because I was anticipating what Chato had coordinated for me. See, because Chato is a practitioner of the Yoruba Ifa uh, religion. So she coordinated for me a reading that her priestess and priests would do for me. So, like I said at the beginning, I'm not fundamentalist in my Christianity at all. I'm open to a lot of different spiritual expressions and practices. So I was open to this, and I was really very humbled and appreciative that Chato would do this for me. Um but I had no idea what I was in for. But I was just, I think at this point, I was just like, wow, this is really great. And I was thinking, man, Abdus would really love this if he were here. But I was thinking that in with not as much sadness as before. So um, I have to tell you that. Oh, sorry. So, ooh, this went way over. So, okay, so I have to tell you that there are no pictures and there is no video of the reading, and that is intentional because I wasn't going to record them. Um, because we're talking about a very serious, spiritual, and sacred ceremony. Um, but I will tell you some things about the reading. And this is where I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a minute. But hold on, before I do, because I work so hard on my little slide transitions, y'all. I just want you to see them. See, look at what I did and my thoughts on African spirituality. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you a lot about the readings because that reading is definitely for me. Um, but I will tell you that the reading was amazing. It was conducted by, for people who don't know about the Ifa religion, and I didn't know a lot about the Ifa religion at all. I just knew that it was Yoruba based. I didn't know much about it, but the Iyalawo um, is a Yoruba word that translates into uh, the mother of mysteries, or consider it a high priestess, and her husband, in this case the two that did my reading were a husband and wife pair, who is the Babalawo, who, and that translates into the father of mysteries, and he's pretty much the high priest. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong on these. Um, but I just knew that, as much as I love to capture everything, I knew that this was not something that you should be taking pictures of or taking video of, because it's just too sacred. And, you know, so anyway, so and it's weird because it always bothered me when I would see depictions of these kinds of ceremonies in movies and stuff, because obviously they always portray them in the most exploitative kind of wacky way, right? But also, I just kind of felt like, I feel like they're trivializing something that is way more serious than they're making it. And having experienced it, I was right, and I'm glad that I didn't. So um, I will tell you that my reading was nearly 3 hours long, which I was told isn't actually usual. And I kind of thought, dang, is that because I'm really that fucked up? Well, no, it's because the Orishas had a lot to say to me. Um, and in the process, I did connect with my sweetheart in a way that I needed to since his departure from this life, that I don't think I would have gotten from just, the typical Christian prayer, that gave me a sense of peace and completion. And I feel like when I left that reading, that there was nothing left unsaid, there was nothing that was not understood, and that our circle, my circle with Abdus, was complete. That is the best way I can describe it. So that it was really, really incredible. But I do have some observations from this experience that I think are important, that go beyond what I needed to get out of the experience. And here's where the sort of serious discussion part is. Um, Afro Indigenous people revere both God, Christ, and the Orishas. They work hand in hand. Uh, Ifa worship is not witchcraft. It's not voodoo. This whole thing in the Bible about divination is satanic. That's bullshit. And you know where that comes from, right? That comes from white people. That really does. Um, the Orishas who spoke to me through the priestess and priest gave deference to God and recognized, acknowledged, and affirmed my faith as a Christian and gave me direction on how to stay in that and strengthen that. So it blew my mind that the Orishas didn't have a problem with Christ, but whole bunch of Christians have a problem with the Orishas. You see what I'm saying? Um, so white supremacy misdirects the oppression of people being like the result of devil worship in these ancient religions and spiritual expressions, and they misdirect from the actual result of colonialism and capitalism and the related exploitations that come from, guess what, white supremacy and settler colonialism that they perpetrate on indigenous people, and in the process of that perpetration of those evils, they wipe out people's faith, and if they can't wipe out people's faith, then they criminalize people's faith, and they use their ridiculous interpretation of who Christ was and who God is to tell other people whose spiritual expression is different that they are from the devil, and the only way to be accepted is to accept this white supremacist interpretation of Jesus Christ. But that ain't what the Orishas said. That's not how they see it, and I bet you it's the same in almost every indigenous spiritual expression that exists. And I think Haiti is a good example of that. The way Christians in the global north and in European nations, especially fundamentalist Christians, love to claim that Haiti has the problems that it does because they practice voodoo. That's a lie. Now that is a lie straight from the devil, y'all. So there's something else that I thought of, that we say sometimes, those of us who are radical revolutionary, who really don't like spirituality at all. And they say things like, well, if ancestor worship worked, why didn't it save us from slavery? Why doesn't it help us now? Here's the thing. Spirituality, any expression of spirituality, this is my understanding of it. Any expression of spirituality helps us to be better people to ourselves, helps us to make sense of a world that we don't understand, helps us to have some calm in a chaotic existence. Um, and it's great if it helps us be good to other people, but it's not a magic trick. Spirituality is not a magic trick. It's not. It's not. And this is the same kind of stuff that people say about Christianity. Why didn't it save us from lynching and Jim Crow and discrimination and police abuse? So, I mean, the same kind of dumb question is used to dismiss people's spiritual expression by people who I understand have been harmed, particularly by Christianity, but have turned a valid critique of a white supremacist interpretation of all spirituality into all spirituality is evil and, an enemy of our people. If spirituality in general is not useful to you, that's cool. I'm cool. But just because it is not useful to you, it does not mean that it has no use for other people. And I don't see how we can do this Pan Africanism thing. I don't see how we can do this revolution thing if we're going to connect with our people on the continent, and throughout the diaspora, while we are shitting on people's various spiritual expressions. I really we really have got to deal with that among ourselves. So I just feel like maybe the answer is that people need to focus on whatever it is that gives you peace, connects you with your consciousness, gives you serenity in difficult times, helps you to be good to yourself, helps you to see other people as worthy of being good to as well. and not worry about a particular religious belief. If people of faith are treating you badly and treating others badly because of their faith, and they're using their faith, then yeah, you need to check those people. But those are the people, and those people exist in every spiritual expression, even, guess what, in atheism and agnosticism. So I had that thought, and I also realized that Christians have to ask ourselves why there is such a strong prohibition against divination and so-called witchcraft in the Bible, right? But the Holy Spirit is perfectly okay. I mean, it's he's a spirit. He's a the way he's described, he's a ghost, basically, right? He's even called the Holy Ghost by Pentecostal. For come on, the Holy Spirit is okay. Reincarnation is okay because Jesus, you can look at the resurrection as a form of reincarnation. So why are those two expressions of spirituality okay for Christians, but other kinds of expressions of spirituality are invalid and that's I think that's ridiculous. And I think that obviously comes from a white supremacist interpretation of Christianity, of who Christ was, who God is, and it was done to control people. Because remember that most of the holidays we celebrate today were originally pagan, and they were adopted by the Roman Church and turned into holy days, right? While telling people that their former spiritual practices were devil worship. That's how you control people. So this is about politics and control, not guiding people to God. That's what the prohibitions on divination, that's ridiculous. And remember that the very canon of the Bible was the result of political battles. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who was involved in the decision to put what books in the Bible went in there weren't seriously entreating God for guidance. But some of the mugs were really just trying to figure out how they could end a war between these three groups of people who believe three different things about the Bible and God, or about God, and how they could use this text to gain and keep political power over their people, who again were formerly largely pagan. So we have to be really, really careful about some of the things that are in the Bible about spiritual expressions that are different from the three Abrahamic religions. Well, I think we have to be very, very careful about that, especially because, we have to remember that King James himself, we just want to look at the translation of the Bible that a lot of us read today, especially in the US, commissioned the Bible to be translated. Well, he was a monster. And we know he was a power hungry beast. So, I mean, why do we put so much stock into the Bible that was translated by that dude to be the infallible word of God without questioning some of the clear contradictions that are in it? And also without questioning the prohibition against the spiritual expression of our own ancestors. That's just, yeah. So all of this stuff ran through my mind, after the reading, and I just want to make it clear, I'm not anti-Christian. I am a Christian. But I recognize that the spiritual practices and observations of our ancestors were stripped from us, and they were replaced under threat of violence or death with a whitewashed version of Christ and Christianity that honestly had a vested interest in demonizing these practices. So yeah. When you know better, you do better. So I feel like I did. So at the end of my reading, that was very, very intense. It was deeply, deeply emotional and very, very heart wrenching. It was incredibly emotional and heart wrenching. After buckets and buckets and buckets of tears, after nearly 3 hours, I um I felt lighter. Um, I felt uh I felt a little bit more free. I felt a little bit more grounded. Um And so after the reading, we were just kind of relaxing and hanging out. And I think it's good to explain that for the priest and priestess, the readings are very intensive. They're very as emotionally draining as it was for me. It was just as emotionally draining for them, especially the priestess. That was incredibly difficult for her. She was drained, not because everything was bad, but just because Um, it was a lot. It was very intense. So everybody's relaxing after the readings, and um, Ajamu kind of hung out downstairs because the reading wasn't for him, so he couldn't come upstairs where we were doing the reading. But afterward, we're up on the terrace, and as you can see, this is the serious revolutionary picture of us two serious revolutionaries after this very spiritual experience that I had. Right, we're just like, yes, let's take a good picture for the comrades. But for real though, what was really fitting to happen was we was really fitting to party. And I do mean party, y'all. It was mad how much fun we had after that reading. Uh this is Charo Mina Rojas. That was a little fast. Let me go back. There you go. This is Ajamu's partner, equally powerful and amazing African, Charo Mina Rojas. And as you can see, and I had to look at these pictures myself and look through them and see the change in my face after and in my eyes after this reading. I am forever grateful to these people for what they did for me. And I cannot, I don't want to go too much into it, but they family now, and they couldn't get rid of me if they wanted to. So this woman is the Ifania, Ianifa. I knew I pronounced it wrong um, before. I don't know why this is skipping like this. So sorry. Woo, let's go back, back, back. There we go. This is the Ianifa, the priestess Maria Eugenia. She is the one who was in charge of my reading. She was the lead in my reading. And as you can see, and this is her ceremonial skirt that she had on for the reading. But after the reading, after everyone just kind of relaxes, after she rejuvenated herself, then we got to partying. As you can see, she's dancing with the Jamu there. And seriously, y'all, I hope you can hear the music on this thing. But this is after Maria Eugenia did my whole reading, rested a little bit, got a little bit to eat, and this is just a celebration. And exactly, Big Teal. That's why I wanted to share this video, and I got approval from Ajamu to share this one because I ain't never thought I would see him get down neither. But Ajamu Baraka got old school moves on the dance floor. It's crazy. It was wild to see him dance like this. It was so. I mean, it was funny. It was weird, but then again, it just reminded me, hey, we're people, right? We're just people. And this is the Babalao Carlos. He was the priest who did my reading. And here is Carlos dancing with Charo. And this is some kind of traditional dance that is done, that men and women do. And you can see like the accompanying footwork that they are doing with each other that I just thought was really amazing and really beautiful. And I have to tell you that Chato, as long as there is music playing, Chato will dance. And I don't care how long the music is playing, Chato will dance all night long. That little woman made me tired dancing as much as she did. But you see how they're kind of going around in circles around each other and she's using the cloth. And I mean it's just a really, really beautiful thing. Yes, Leah, this is in Cali, Colombia. And Leah asked a great question. Um, I'm going to pop the question on the screen here. Uh, is IFA ubiquitous in Cali, Colombia? I think it is. Yeah, it is because there is you can that there are stores where you can get the implements that they need, and there is a large African uh, Afro-Colombian population in Colombia. So yeah, this is very common. This is a common religion in Colombia. Okay, so here's the good part, the really, really great part. Um, so the reading was so incredible for me, and it was very deep and cathartic experience that I even I, Jackie Luqman, with my arthritis in both my knees, was moved to what? To dance. Yes, I was. So here comes the video of Mrs. Luqman getting down, dancing after my reading, after feeling so just bittersweet and really deep in grief and just so hurt still. And I still, have some of those feelings. But a part of the reading that was really so wonderful, that was so cathartic for me, was this caftan that I have on. I didn't start out the reading with the caftan on. I had on uh, leggings and the top that you saw, the pinkish kind of top, the salmon colored top. But I actually tossed this caftan in the suitcase at the last minute because I realized I didn't have anything really to lounge in, because I was going to be there for like 10 days and I only had one lounge dress. So I didn't have anything else to lounge in. And this caftan is important because it's one of my and Abdus's favorites. He loved this thing. He loved me in this thing. And it's actually the caftan I wore at his birthday party that we had at the house back in May, right before he passed away. But anyway, I needed to put a skirt on for the reading. So I ran into my room and this was the first thing that I pulled out. I just pulled it out. I didn't think about it. So when I went back into the room to continue the reading, the bold African print pleased the Orishas a lot, a great deal, so much so that um, Maria Eugenia said that the Orishas said that when I'm engaged in spiritual battles, which I'll have because I am a person of strong faith, I need to wear this garment when I am engaged in those battles because the garment itself is powerful. So I thought, as these things are happening, I'm like, all of this stuff going on can't be, all of this stuff is not coincidence, right? That this is my favorite a caftan, that this was Abdus's, that the Orishas see it as a very, very powerful garment. Um, so as I was dancing, I was feeling, and I'm serious, y'all, no lie. I'm feeling my connection to the earth. I'm feeling this incredible sensation of belonging right where I need to be. I am right where I need to be. And I felt surrounded by, of course, people who loved me. I became very close with Maria, Eugenia, and Carlos, and of course, closer with Ajamu and Charo. But I was surrounded, I felt like I was surrounded by everything good in the universe. Everything in the universe wanted good things for me. So I was dancing because I hadn't felt that good. I hadn't felt that happy and peaceful in 4 months, in about 4 months. So, yeah. So that was the first 3, 4, 16th. So that was the first 14, 15, so for 3 days, the first 3 days of my trip to Colombia. And I, I, I cannot explain to you better than I did. Um, and I still feel like it wasn't sufficient to really explain what that reading did for me. Um, there are things that I had to do when I came home. Some ceremonial things that I had to do. So I had to go to the international store and practice my Spanish. I did. I've been practicing my Spanish. I just went to the international. Went to an implements store today to get some cascarilla, and manteca de corojo, for something that I have to do for Oya and Yamana, the Orishas who are my guides. So I'm practicing my Spanish and I'm learning all of this new stuff, and it is feeling absolutely right. It is absolutely in line with my spiritual faith. It is affirming. It's affirming of who I am, and it's affirming of my life. But it also affirmed Abdus too. And like I said earlier, that whole reading um uh like completed the circle for me and him. So it was special to me, and I am sure it will have an impact on my life forever. They did some very special things for me. There was a cleansing that came up that was later, and I'll share the rest of the pictures for the cleansing next week. Obviously, I can't show you the whole cleansing, but that was very interesting too. But this bracelet, I will tell you really quickly, I bought this bracelet in Virginia Beach, when I went to Virginia Beach after Abdus passed. Um, and that was going to be our vacation. We were going to my cousin's wedding. And I wasn't going to go to Virginia Beach then, but my family was like, no, you really should go. You really should go. So I did. And I did the thing that Abdus and I would normally do whenever we went somewhere. We would try to find the African store, if there was an African store in the where we were. And there is an African store in Virginia Beach. And I found this bracelet there. And I saw it in the case and I thought, this is a really powerful looking piece. It looks like it would ground me. And it looks like Abdus would love it. So I bought it for myself. So I'm in the middle of the reading, and uh, Maria Eugenia sees this, and the Orishas tell her, "Give me that bracelet. Give this to me." And I gave it to her. She puts it in her hand, and she said, "They say that this has very good energy, very very good energy, just like you do." So they blessed this. Um, And that's where I'm going to leave this part of my travel log, because this part of my trip was my blessing. So I hope that me telling this little story was a blessing to you. I hope that you enjoyed the dancing. I hope that you dug seeing Ajamu Baraka, getting down and cutting the rug. That ain't the last time you go see that. But I just thought this was really great, and just a really great way to just have a good time tonight and have a little bit of fun. And I really appreciate you sharing this with me because this was such an incredibly special experience. I couldn't think of better people to share it with than you. So get ready for Riot Starter TV coming up right now here on Black Power Media. And as always, you guys, thanks a lot for joining me. Be good to each other. Be very, very good to yourselves. Take care. Peace.
I had them online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. I had them online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. I know the wall's closing in, but don't you dare give up now. Poe believed in me, pull up through some bucks down. Todd told the valet pull the truck round. Push the line after we drew it, it's just us now. Would you believe me if I told you my granny told me she prayed this? Then booked the surgery just to pull me out of the basement. Right back where I started, nothing to show for a facelift. Got pushed playing Walter White and Davis, never felt so dangerous. The type of power they can't quantify. And name the best from my region, you gotta utter mine. Think of who really putting on, you never come to mind. Rapping like your Spotify, tap you rappers compromise. Yeah, no need to panic, just paint the canvas. If you can feel the static, you're too close, find your balance. Embed the revolution for they prohibition bandwidth. Blood trickle from the lead to see what's planted. I had them all online before I dial up.